Hi guys, I'm Daniela, Content Manager at Livestorm, the first video engagement platform for hosting your online meetings and events from start to finish. In this video, I'm going to provide tips for boosting engagement in your online events. And by engagement, I mean having your audience focused, getting them to interact and participate, and overall creating a memorable experience for everyone. And just a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button if you'd like to gain more tips for running your online events. I have more content on the way. Now, let's dive in. Some people might be on the fence about whether they need a dedicated platform for hosting online events and if it can really boost audience engagement. And that's why I'm going to start with this tip. First of all, you can definitely run a free event and stream using Facebook Live or even YouTube. But keep in mind that although you can do this for free, it can have a real impact on the engagement for your events, and you lose out on a lot of key features and data that you can get with a dedicated platform. For example, with Livestorm, you can not only live stream, but you can also host on-demand and automated virtual events. It allows you to create your own branded registration page where people can sign up and learn more about what your presentation's about. You can send invitations and reminders via email directly from the platform, and you can use a whole range of engagement features which you'll learn about throughout this entire video. So keep watching to find out. Emoji reactions might seem a bit basic and not that impactful when it comes to virtual events, but actually I find that it really contributes to more engagement because it's essentially a substitute for the social cues that happen naturally in physical events. And by social cues, I mean the verbal and nonverbal communication through expressions, whether it's laughing at a small joke that the presenter makes or giving an applause when it's something you agree with or you want to give praise for. And expressing yourself online without actually typing words is hard. And that's why emoji reactions are perfect. I find that almost all virtual events that I attend are pretty basic in terms of the format of the presentation. Most of the time, they're simple PowerPoint slides with bullet points. Now, I'm not hating on this format because I think it's really useful, but there are other ways to change things up every once in a while. For example, you can host a roundtable or panel discussion without any PowerPoint slides at all. Instead, you can keep the focus on your speakers exclusively by displaying their streams. For example, at Livestorm, you can have up to 16 simultaneous streams and alternate between the person or the people speaking. And depending on the size of your event, you can also change things up further by getting really creative with the format. And this could involve sending a gift to participants in the days leading up to your event. For instance, if you're hosting a wine tasting event, you can send each participant a few bottles of wine. The bottom line is, just because it's online doesn't mean that your events can't be versatile. Running live polls are great for interacting with your entire audience and asking them specific questions. Polls really allow you, the presenter, to have a real exchange with your audience, and it gets them to actively participate. At Livestorm, we recommend launching a poll every 15 minutes to keep your audience included in the conversation. And you can do this throughout your entire webinar, not only in the beginning or the very end. For example, as your first poll, you could ask your audience how familiar they are with your brand. And before getting into each new section of your presentation, you could begin by running a poll to see where your audience stands on that particular subject, whether it's their opinion or their experience. And keep in mind that polls are also useful for learning about your audience and collecting data in real time. For example, at Livestorm, we often go through the poll responses after the event, which allows us to turn them into useful stats that can be shared in our content, or we can use the data to help us make more informed decisions about what topics to cover in our next virtual event. I love a good rapid fire question session in a virtual event because it's a less formal and it's a fun way to connect with your speakers and your audience at the same time. So during your Livestorm webinars, we typically do this when we're running an event with multiple speakers, like a panel discussion, and we save it for the very end to wrap up the event on a lighter note. While asking our speakers rapid-fire questions, we ask the same question in the polls in order to collect everyone's responses. And to make it relevant, you can choose a set of questions that are on the same theme as your event. For example, if it's on social media marketing, you can ask questions like Twitter or Facebook, sharing memes or not sharing memes. Many people think that a question and answer session should always be saved for the end of your virtual event. While this is true, you don't need to limit it to only one time. Instead, you can have several throughout your presentation, and it's actually a great idea because it gives the audience a little break in between. One of my favorite features at Livestorm is our live answer feature, which allows the presenter to put the spotlight on a particular question, directing everyone's attention to it while it's being answered. And being able to answer both in writing and orally allows your event moderators to jump in whenever needed to help out with providing your audience responses. All right, I already made a dedicated video on icebreaker ideas, but I need to mention it here as well because I think it's such a great way to warm up your audience when running an event. For example, you can play a quick game of background charades with a virtual background. By choosing a specific background, for example, a scene from a particular movie or a place you visited, you can get your participants to guess where it's from. Follow the link in the top right corner of this video for more ideas. Sharing resources in your event is a great way to push your content, whether it's a report, a white paper, a video, or any other kind of file with your audience while you have them there in the event room. At Livestorm, you can benefit from a range of plugins to customize your online events. And one of them is a handouts plugin. And by enabling it in the event room, you can publish and centralize all of your resources in one place, allowing your participants to download them easily. And if you do share resources in your event, I recommend doing so at the end so that you don't lose the attention of your audience members. Sending a call to action to your audience is a great way to activate them while they're there in the event room. And you can use this opportunity to push your promotion, to share a survey, or to simply redirect your attendees to a custom page. At Livestorm, this is a built-in feature, and all you need to do is add your parameters, including your custom URL, and you can send it at any time. But to make sure that your attendees don't wander off during your event, I recommend saving this for the very end so that you don't lose their focus. My last tip is to check your event analytics to measure your event engagement. You want to look at your attendance rate, for example, how many people signed up versus how many attended. You'll also want to look at how long your attendees tuned in for, how many questions were asked, how many messages were posted in the chat, etc. And I actually have the perfect tool for this, and it's a scoring system developed by Livestorm to calculate your event's video engagement score. Not only can you compare with the average scores, but we provide you with actionable tips to boost engagement, and I'll leave a link to it in the description below. All right, guys, that's it for this time. I hope these tips help you. Don't forget to subscribe and check out the list of additional resources that's in the description below. I'll see you next time, and until then, keep creating, keep engaging, and keep those connections alive. I'll see you soon. Take care.